This referee was so diligent, examining the fight at such close range, that he became a part of it, the part that suffered the KO. A right cross by the fighter with his back to us barely missed his opponent, but it nailed the ref right on the button. Then down and out he went. The fighter was too stunned to count over the fallen referee. I guess, as the replay shows, the ref just had a glass chin. When John Mugabe hits people, they tend to do funny things. This guy dragged the referee right out of the ring. Talk about funny things. Peter Mueller, a German middleweight, was fighting Peter Stretz. With much zest, I might add. Too much, in fact. The ref got in the way of a punch, which the camera, like the ref, didn't see. But you can see the ref's legs stretched on the canvas, and you can see Mueller ignoring him and going after Stretz with continued zest. When officials climbed into the ring to try to rescue the stricken referee, the crazed Mueller went after them too. When order was restored and the referee revived, Mueller left the ring triumphantly, as though he still didn't have a clue. The ring has often been a stage for bizarre events, and not always between fighter and fighter, or even fighter and referee. How about fighter and wrestler? How about fighter and animal? How about fighter and a whole town? Jack Dempsey, who did it all, did beat a town, out of a bunch of money.
In modern times, there have been many countries that have put up astronomical sums of money in order to induce a big fight to take place in their country. In a vast majority of those cases, the fight was a success, and the promotion was a horrible disaster. The Thrilla in Manila, when Ali fought Frazier, was a sensational fight, but Manila took a horrible bath. And in Zaire, when Ali challenged George Foreman for the World Heavyweight Championship, Mobutu put up $10 million. And the fight was a cornerstone of boxing, but no one went, and the fight was not well attended, and the country lost a fortune.
Shelby, Montana wanted to be the little town that could, but it couldn't. It wanted to boom and went bust. Jack Dempsey arrived at this train station with a smile and left with a bigger smile. The caper set a precedent for many modern rip-offs.
On July 4th, 1923, when Jack Dempsey defended the heavyweight championship against Tom Gibbons, it was really a fight and a promotion created by Jack's manager, Jack Doc Kearns. He got the governor of Montana, the mayor of Shelby, Montana, to get behind the fight and get the entire community to get involved, to put up the money, to bring the legendary heavyweight champion, Jack Dempsey, to Shelby to fight Tom Gibbons. And what happened is they built the stadium in a crevice, which was surrounded by hills. And they built this wooden stadium that would seat approximately 23,000 people. And the city of Shelby was supposed to put up $100,000. They put up $75,000 front money, which got Dempsey to go to Shelby, Montana. And what happened basically is that they had this marvelous World Heavyweight Championship fight, and nobody came. It was a disaster.
Dempsey didn't even give Shelby much of a fight. He won a dull decision from Gibbons, who didn't collect a dime of his $50,000 guarantee. Dempsey spent the fight planning his getaway.
There were 3 major banks in Shelby, Montana that went bankrupt as a result of backing this fight. Not only did the banks go under, but the town of Shelby went under. In fact, one of the marvelous stories, and quite accurate, was that when the fight was over, Jack Doc Kearns recognized that it was a monumental disaster. He didn't permit Dempsey to shower. Dempsey left the ring in his boxing trunks, and they both ran to the train, got on the train, and got out of town with their money.
Long after he retired at the age of 45, Jack Dempsey refereed a wrestling match, and a wrestler named Cowboy Jack Luttrell slugged him and knocked him down. Well, Dempsey challenged him to an all-holes-barred fight, officially an exhibition, and this is it. Dempsey is the one with hair on his head. Luttrell is the one taking an unholy beating. Dempsey has a definite advantage, however. He's fighting, but the wrestler isn't wrestling. This is brutal. Pay wasn't that great, but Dempsey showed Luttrell as much mercy as he showed Shelby. None. Like Jack Dempsey, there wasn't anything Muhammad Ali wouldn't try for money.
It was something that was blowing the imagination, a wrestler with a fighter. Everybody used to, say, let's have a wrestler. How would a wrestler do with a fighter? And there was pro and con, and you had that bit with the karate guys with a fighter. So that caught Muhammad's imagination. He wanted it, and he felt he can beat a wrestler.
You'll make $4 million because you're meeting the world's most famous man and the world's prettiest athlete.
Ali, who boasted that he learned to hype fights by watching a wrestler named Gorgeous George, was in his element. His Japanese opponent, Antonio Inoki, got in a few licks of his own.
We would be delighted to take you on as our publicity man when the fight is over.
This is round one. 15 rounds. Inoki tries a guy. He tries another guy.
Ali was faced with an unusual problem: how to get his opponent off the canvas so he could knock him back down. Ali had to really float like a butterfly to stay away from the Tokyo canvas back. Inoki didn't want to lose face, and Ali didn't want to lose legs.
80 degrees in this arena here this morning.
Now, Muhammad got Inoki. That's why the sucker laid on his back all night long, because he knew he was going to get knocked out. So he laid on his back. He figured it was the safest place, because Muhammad felt he will knock out Inoki. If Inoki had gotten up, he would have got knocked out.
Once Muhammad Ali touched the rope.
Ali, who landed all of 4 jabs in the whole match, made millions. But who won? I mean, how do you score a farce? Who cares?
Now, the oddity about that match, a lot of people don't know, is that the referee was the only man to render a decision. And I walked up to him, I said, make it a draw. Nobody gets hurt. And he bit like Harry the Tuna, and he grabbed, and it was a draw.
There was a preliminary to the closed-circuit telecast of Ali and Inoki. Chuck Webner, a club fighter, who was the inspiration for Rocky Balboa of the Rocky movies, took on another wrestler, Andre the Giant, a 400-pounder who nearly swallowed him whole.
Chuck is the kind of guy who would probably fight a gorilla or a kangaroo. It wouldn't make any difference to Chuck. He was on the style of Tony Galento, who was known to fight a bear even like that. Chuck always wanted to know the bottom line. Is the money right, Al? That's all I'd ask. And the money was right for the fight. That's why we accepted it. And I know Chuck Webner can handle himself in most any situation. The only thing Chuck used to be scared of was his wife. That's about all. Chuck was 6'6" or 6'6½". He looked like a baby, dwarfed alongside. He was like a pygmy. It was unreal. I couldn't believe that Chuck, who looked so huge, looked like a little baby. Well, after sparring a good round, Chuck hits this guy a terrific jab, a jolt right on the schnoz, full face. I seen the Giant, he just went, and I seen Chuck's face change a little bit. This was something wrong.
Without his normal script, Andre the Giant just went after Webner. Seriously. A serious mistake for Webner.
Then he picked up Chuck and he tossed him up and over the ropes down on the floor. No sooner he did that, Patty and I, we ran around to get Chuck, and as I go around to get him, there's some kind of other monster, not as big as him, but another guy, Gorilla Monsoon, was out there, holding Patty and I down, not allowing us to get Chuck in the ring. It was murder. You couldn't move these guys. It was all a big hullabaloo.
By the way, the Tony Galento mentioned by Braverman was known as Two-Ton Tony. Two-Ton Tony was a comical but powerful fella who fought Joe Louis and knocked him down. So why not take on a bear? But notice he's not trying to get the bear angry. They promoted fights any way they could in the bad old days. But one thing they never tried was man against woman. Jackie Barnett, a TV producer, thought up that one for tennis. His Tony Galento was Bobby Riggs, a former Wimbledon and U.S. Open champion and famous hustler of the rich and gullible.
I was sitting in Palm Springs with Bobby Riggs, whom I knew, and I saw some very good lady tennis players. And I said, Bobby, how would you do against them?